Hello, this is another tutorial. We're gonna see in this occasion how an object, a polygon, could actually serve as an emitter. No? How do we make a polygon emit particles? That will be the first part. We're gonna make those particles have a goal, somehow be attracted to something, and at the same time be have some fields, multiple fields applied to it, so they have a different behavioral attitude. And that will be the first little tutorial. In the second part, it's a little more, I guess, complex, although if you follow the steps, it's straightforward. We're gonna have, instead of one instancer, we're gonna have three of them, and we're gonna apply them to the particles in a random way, with a random speed. We're gonna have a random rotation and random scale to each of them. Okay, so let's start with the beginning, which I think is more straightforward. Let's create a sphere. I'm gonna leave it in the center for now, and then I'll probably move it. I make it a little big, and then I'm gonna select it and go to Dynamics, Particles, and Emit from Object. Okay, if you go to Options, we probably want to select surfaces, okay, and a little less, number 30, so we don't have too many particles coming out. Depending on the power of your machine, you will accept more or less. Let's say create. The moment we do that, you can just press play, and you see how the particles are actually emerging from the surface versus before they were doing it from an emitter. Okay, great. This is a good first step. Wait, this is cool actually. We could somehow animate this sphere. For example, press S, move time, W, move this guy, and press S again, and you will see how as the sphere moves, it's the particles are emerging from that guy. So it could be a nice way of, for example, doing a fog effect, or if water's coming through it, or etc., etc. So, but that's another story. I will explain in a different tutorial. I'm gonna Control C, so we don't have these lines, and make sure that we were in the same position, and press play. Only particles are emerged, and they're only expanding. Okay, so what fields could we apply that are interesting to these particles that we haven't applied? Because we know about gravity that will go down, quite straightforward, but I'm going to apply different fields. So I'm going to select the particles. I'm going to apply first Newton options, and I'm going to leave it in 0.5, create. And let's see how they behave differently. If I start animation, actually let me stop it, select them, and in particle shape I would like to see the particles as spheres so we can see it a little better. We press here to check the radius, a little smaller. Okay, let's animate this. So it seems that not much is happening. It's probably because of the magnitude of the Newton. But if we go to the outliner, we select the Newton here, and we change the properties, we will very soon see, if we increment the magnitude, the power of what Newton's doing. It's doing an interesting field of attraction and repulsion of the units, which is quite interesting, no? Anyway, I think it's way too strong, so I'm going to just reduce it to around 1 or 0.1. Okay, so play it, and I'm going to select the particles and apply another field, which is going to be turbulence options. Let's leave it there in 5, create, and again in the outliner we have two then, Newton. I'm going to increment a little more, and turbulence. Both could be combined, and they will affect, as you see, the particles in interesting ways that we weren't having before, no? Okay, that's good. Next, I'm going to select the particles again, fields, and drag. Let's know again. Here it is, drag field. We have 0.05, probably too little. Let's see what happens if we put 5 and start this again. Probably dragging way too much. So we want to decrease some of the magnitudes, probably in the dragging and probably in the Newton. Let's take it down a bit to 1.9 and see what happens. I'm also gonna Control H the sphere. We don't really need it to see the effect of what's happening here. So you see how the behavior is quite differently as we play it now, as we did in the beginning without any field. So you guys can play with these guys, and you can get very interesting behaviors in the particles. So let's try turbulence a little bit more, so we can see a little more radical behaviors. Good. Let me try to reduce against the turbulence to 9 or so, and the drag field a little bit more. Let's put 5. Let's see what we get here. See how they make clusters, but they still have some turbulence and also attraction, and so it's a little more interesting in terms of swarming the particles, so they kind of behave and relate one to another. See how they start doing this kind of a tail system. So anyway, I think it's good for now. So we're gonna do the last step, which is I'm gonna go and create a different sphere here. I'll place it around here, and I'm gonna play this a little bit, so I can select the particles, select the sphere, and call it goal. No, so these guys now will be attracted to this. Let's see what happens. I think the goal by default is quite strong, so they will go super strong, you see, to the object. So let's actually select this piece. We need to go Control A to the particles, Control A to the channel box and search for goal, because for some reason it's not found in the attribute editor. So the moment we find goal active 0.5, probably want to put 1. Let's see what happens. You see how they swarm. You have the swarming, but they also go to that piece. And now the last step for this will be to select the particles, the object, and say make collide. Good. See what happens. They're swarming, they have more of an attitude, and they collide against these guys, so they're trying to go. They even hit and they go back again. How do we change that? We can select this guy and Control A and search for the geoconnector, as you remember, and make the resilience a little smaller and friction bigger, so we have a little more offset. And not only that, I'm gonna make the goal animate. So I'm gonna press S here. I'm gonna take it in time, so they seem they're getting there. I'm gonna press S again, but here's when it's gonna start moving, and they should follow, no? S. S. Let's see what happens. They emit, they go, and at this point this guy's gonna start moving. No, I guess I did something wrong there. Oh, it's later, sorry. Yeah. So we play, they're gonna hit it, and they're gonna try to follow it and try to be attracted, and they're gonna collide against the guy, And at that point, this guy's gonna move, and this guy's gonna be surprised and gonna try to follow as a swarm type of attitude. Now, the last step I think is there's too many being created here, so we could very simple select the particles at a specific moment, like around here, and the emitter will not emit anymore. So we're gonna say here 30, set keyframe, like around here, place 0, set keyframe, right click, set keyframe. This I have explained many times. So let's see what this does. They first follow, they achieve their goal, they hit the guy will start moving, the particles will start following, no more particles will be created, and all of them will try to follow as a massive group of carnivorous particles trying to engage with the goal. So think of all the, again, potentials for rendering. These particles could be flies, again, could be swarming objects or something. The next step, the second part, will be instead of spheres having these three pieces, as I said, randomly positioned, scale, randomly scaled, etc., etc. Yeah, that will be the second part.